Detroit, and he's on Mad Dog Unleashed. Enver, good afternoon. How are you today, pal? What do you have? Enver.
Hey, Chris, first-time caller. Love what you do. You do a great job on the show. I got to tell you one thing. I'm going to call you out on it. I totally disagree with you about UCLA. They're absolutely a Cinderella team, and I get that the name recognition and the history and the 11 championships. But if we're talking about this year, they are absolutely a Cinderella. They weren't even supposed to be in the tournament. They were a play-in team, and they won 5 games.
Yeah, Cinderella, Enver, I understand that they've had a nice run. They've done a hell of a job. Cinderella, but they were favored, and they were favored against a couple of these teams, too. I'm sure they were favored against BYU. They were favored against the Abilene Christian. You cannot sit there and put UCLA is not a Cinderella. They when you go to UCLA, they are recruiting all Americans. They are recruiting McDonald All Americans. People go to UCLA, go to the NBA. You cannot sit there and put UCLA. I know this year is a bad team. I know they had an injury. I know they're lucky to get in. I know they played in the playing game. I get all that. But UCLA, based on just where it is, name recognition, the fact that they get great players to go there, they do not qualify as a Cinderella. I'm sorry, Cinderella if you look in the definition of sports Cinderella, there, Enver, in your book, it's not going to be a poster boy of the 2021 UCLA basketball team. That don't count. Now, you're right. They've had a hell of a year. They've done a great job, and they've had a nice tournament run here. And they're on a nice. They got a lot of karma going. But Cinderella, I don't buy. That's me. I can't buy that with Cinderella. Go ahead.
Respect. I just agree to disagree. One more thing, Chris talked about Wagner not being a very good player. I mean, that's kind of a stretch. Obviously, he's only a sophomore. He's young.
But I haven't seen him much. I probably shouldn't. I probably shouldn't say much. Go ahead.
I'm trying to tell you because I watch a lot of Michigan basketball. Obviously, coming from Detroit, but he's a guy that probably can end up being better than his brother, and he's got a couple of years left. Obviously, he didn't have a good night last night. 1 for 10, a lot of open looks, missed a lot of shots. Yes, he was bad, and I do agree with you about Mike Smith from Columbia. At times, he does look rattled. He is a little shaky at times. He doesn't go to the ball. And it just seems like the moment was too big for him. And I appreciate you taking my call, Chris. Thank you.
All right, Enver, good call with that. By the way, the kid from Junzing, the kid from UCLA who transferred, he's a former 5-star Kentucky recruit. Now, when you're a 5-star Kentucky recruit and you end up at UCLA, that automatically eliminates you from being a Cinderella. You can't have a 5-star Kentucky recruit go out of UCLA and then they go to a Final Four and you're a Cinderella. That's not fair. It's like the Kemba Walker teams with UConn. That UConn team that won the 4 or 5 games in the Big East tournament and then ended up winning the whole thing with Kemba. A lot of people think that was a Cinderella. How could UConn with Kemba Walker, who made $150 million with the Celtics, how could that be a Cinderella team with that kind of player? It's impossible. You can't have it. That doesn't work that way. Mark in Maryland, he's with us here. He's on Mad Dog Unleashed. Mark, good afternoon. How are you today? What do you have? Marky.
Hey, Chris, how you doing? So, remember you were saying you said Gonzaga had to win this year and all.
Yeah,
but,
I said that. Yep.
Keep in mind it took Dean Smith like 20 years to finally win a championship, with North Carolina.
Remember, to be fair, the first 15 years, Mark, of Dean's career, only one team from that conference got a bid.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But, then he needed a miracle from Fred Brown throwing to the wrong guy, for him to win. So, I mean, sometimes it just takes a long time, to do it. But
that's fair. And I kind of agree with Krzyzewski, who told us last week that he thought once Few won 1, he'd win 5 or 6. And, he knows – Few knows one thing. Few knows that he is going to be in the NCAA tournament every year.
Yeah.
He can build his team accordingly. He's going to make the tournament. He doesn't have to scratch and claw for a bid. He doesn't have to scratch and claw in his conference tournament. He can pace his team properly, play a tough early schedule, then take the pedal off the metal and do nothing in January and February and rev it back up again at the end of the year. A lot of teams can't do that. He can do that. That's a big advantage. But go ahead. Continue.
No, I mean, I almost hope that they don't win because if Gonzaga wins, they're going to be comparing them to these great teams from the old days, and there's no way in the world Gonzaga is as good as UNLV, Georgetown, or North Carolina with Jordan or any of them really. It's just a complete overhyping of
Yeah.
of the team.
Well,
It's
you
just,
can't. College basketball, it's a stepsister to what the old college basketball was. I mean, you can't even compare it. I mean, college basketball, the tournament's great and
Yeah.
it's fun to watch,
And
and
that's
we're
it.
watching all the games. It's phenomenal. The tournament, it's a great event. But to compare the teams in the tournament to some of these old time teams in
No.
college basketball, it's an insult. You
I
can't
mean,
do it. Gonzaga would get destroyed by UCLA. You think Walton and Wilkes would lose to Gonzaga? Are you kidding me? Not a chance. How about
No.
David Thompson and Burleson? You think they lose to Gonzaga? Not a David Thompson?
No.
Not a chance. And I think you think Knight would lose to Gonzaga with May and Benson and Buckner and Wilkerson and Abernathy, a team that fit like a glove that lost one game in 2 years in the Big Ten. You think he'd ever lose to this Gonzaga team? Not a chance. Now, you want to say that, hey, listen, they've done a great job in the tournament. 100%. They've been phenomenal. But you're right. You got to cool your jets when you put them up there on a higher level. What else you have? Let me hear.
Hey, you look at the guys in college they're playing right now. Is there a great player that's a drop-dead number one draft pick, that you would, bet your life on right now? I don't think so. It's so watered down. And, the guy like Michigan had no business losing that game yesterday with the height that they had. You got to get a better shot at the end of that game. They had 3 chances to pull that game out. The guy throws up a 3 and doesn't even hit the rim. I mean, it was just. I mean, somebody's got to make a shot at the end of that game.
And Michigan's offense, and that's a good call. I'm going to look at the statistics on that game in a minute, but Mark, you're 1,000% right. Now Wagner might be very good. All right. Again, I'm out watching him on a day in, day out basis. So what he does, in Nebraska on January 9th, I could care less about. I'm not interested. That doesn't mean anything. It's what you do in this tournament that means something. And that's another issue that college basketball has. A season's success for a lot of these schools comes down to these 5 or 6 games here in the tournament. Again, ask yourself a question. UCLA stumbled around, lost to everybody in sight in the regular season, barely got into the tournament, and now they're in the Final Four. Would you rather be Mick Cronin today, or would you rather be Juwan Howard today, whose team couldn't crack 50 in an Elite Eight game? Which one would you rather be? We'll take a timeout. We continue. We're at Mad Dog Unleashed.